welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is The Talk, our semi-regular series on my thoughts on the latest developments in Galaxy of Heroes. This week we're giving my thoughts on these topics: the Mandalorian Marquees, the recent developer Q&A from last week, my current status on my hoard, what I'm gearing for the week, and progress on farms, and any final thoughts on the channel will be thrown in at the end. In that portion though, this week I am going to do some Mandalorian pack pulls, maybe Grief Karga pack pulls if I get lucky. I've been saving a lot of crystals for months now. Need to use them for something. This seems like a great thing that I'm excited about to use those crystals for. At least maybe to get those characters to 4 stars, see if we get lucky and get to 5 stars. So it's great that we got these Mandalorian characters finally in the game. The one note that I have is I want to bring everyone's attention back to Jango Fett and when he was released. When Jango was released, we got a Marquee Plus event which gave us extra rewards, it gave us gear, and it was replayable for several days, and each time you replayed it, or each day that you replayed it, you would get additional rewards for that day. The Mandalorian was worthy of being a Marquee Plus character, which we have not seen since Jango. That was the only time it's occurred, and it's about time that we see that type of character release again, where they can give us a little bit of extra gear, a little bit of extra help. It wouldn't have cost them anything and would have gave them a ton of goodwill that they've been sorely lacking on for months now. In addition to that, the one downfall to these Marquees is now that they're done, we have nothing to look forward to. We got through this spurt of excitement and feeling good about the game, and now I'm wondering what's next. What's going to happen? We've already gone through this Q&A that we're going to talk about that it just shot down every idea. We have no sense of any timeline. Before the Q&A, I thought, okay, Mandalorian's coming before the Mace Windu rework, and now that's not going to happen, or it's been further delayed, and so there's nothing on the horizon for us to anticipate, which is a little sad and disappointing. Last thing is there's been a bunch of testing going on. It looks like Aura Singh is an interesting leader for Mando. Grief Karga is usable at lower gear levels at gear 11, which is great. There was not testing specifically done on Cara Dune at lower gear levels and lower star levels, but her being a tank, she's not obviously going to work at the top end of the game. But tanks have a history of being effective at 3 stars and at gear 11. At least for certain types of players, me being one of those types of players, and if you are a mid-game player, there's a good chance that Cara Dune could be useful at 3 stars. It's one of the things that I'm going to try and do quickly. All these Mandalorian characters, I'm going to level up very early on and see how usable they can be at lower stars and lower gear. Next topic is the developer Q&A. We're going to let the Mandalorian Marquee footage play through while we talk about this topic. The big point I want to make here is, why did they even do this? In the past, these Q&As have been marketing, semi-promotional tools for capital games. In this instance, they kind of hinted at this new stuff they've been working on, but for the most part they told us that everything that they've been previously working on they've stopped, or told us that explicitly things that the community have been asking for is not feasible. I'm not going to harp on about the sandbox mode and it being expensive for them. Like, they said it in a stupid way, but there's nothing inherently surprising that a sandbox mode that can't be monetized isn't going to be something they're going to work on. I'm not going to be putting on a surprise Pikachu face for them saying this expensive thing for them to work on they're not going to do. What I do want though is Galactic War with synergized factions. There's no excuse not to have it. There's every reason in the world to do it. It wouldn't be that difficult for them. I don't need to have it scale with power level so that endgame players or Gear 13 characters can go through Galactic War and it be usable. I get maybe that isn't feasible and that might be problematic, where it just makes sense for them to not put the time and resources into making Galactic War usable in that way. But what they could do is just put in synergized factions at whatever gear level is easiest for them to do it in. If it's Gear 12, it's Gear 12. That would make me happy. Gear 11, fine, I'll take it. But the point is, there is no place to take characters that you are working on and test them to see how usable they are. For early game and mid game players, it would be great even at Gear 11 and Gear 12, because then I could take in these new Mandalorian characters, test them out against different factions. I could take in the Resistance hero characters or the First Order characters, the Hux and Sith Troopers, see how usable they are as I gear them up. Test them out until they get to a place where they are functional for me in Grand Arena or in Territory Wars. And for early game players, that is more important than anything, because they have all these characters, all these factions, they don't know how to use them, they're never able to test them up against different teams other than in Grand Arena or in Territory War, and that becomes a testing zone that would be crucial for early game players to learn the mechanics of all these weird factions that are really difficult to understand. Like us mid-game, late-game players who've been playing this game for years, we get it. We were able to gradually learn how to play all of these different factions. We were able to gradually learn all the nuances of all the rules and not be surprised. But an early game player who's been playing for 6 months or less, or a year or less, and they have to learn all of these kits, all of these different strategies, test all these different speed mods and turn orders, a Galactic War would be invaluable for those types of players, for them to just understand, okay, I can go and play against this Night Sister team, see how it goes, see which of all these different characters that I'm working on, which ones are effective against Night Sisters or not, and not have to punt a Grand Arena or screw up your guild's Territory Wars because you don't know how to play against these teams, and it's not even their fault. It's the minimum CG could be doing, and it's time that is done. So here's the current status of my hoarding. The top number in the light gray is where we left off in the last video after I geared up the characters. The dark gray number is the current count on all these gear pieces. Last week I skipped this video and I skipped gearing up any characters because I wanted to save the characters for these Mandalorian characters to see if I wanted to gear up these characters right away, or at least as quickly as possible. Two things that I didn't show those: I dropped 2 Zetas, one on Jin because my guild was doing light side Hoth, trying to go for full stars, and I dropped another one onto Hux before this last Grand Arena because I wanted to throw him onto my First Order team, see if we could have anything happen from him. Next, I think I did on Sith Trooper. I'm going to finish off Vandor Chewie. I just want him done and moved on. I looked at his gear. Other than these stun cuffs that I hate giving away, there's not too much demanding for him. He's technically an easy gear, but stun cuffs annoy me. I don't like giving them out because in some ways stun cuffs is the most annoying gear piece, because like I've come to terms with stun guns. Stun cuffs though, they're almost as rare, they're just not as mixed up with other pieces where you notice it as much, but there are some characters that require so many, especially if you're gearing up bounty hunters. So I gotta do 1 Carbani there. Okay. Oh, great. I was afraid that was a Carboni for a second. We're at 11. He's not going past this for now. 11 is my staging ground. I'm definitely not touching that. I mean, he's a tank. It would not be a negative to get him to gear 12, but he's not worthy of it right now. I don't use this team enough where it makes any sense for me to do it. But I am now going to be able to take him out of my favorites and move on. I would love to do Snow Trooper, but he wants stun cuffs, and I just used up 100 stun cuffs. I don't really want to do it right now. Especially because we don't have another territory war or grand arena for another week where it's going to give me no benefit. I'll delay it until then. The rest of these characters, yeah, I'm holding off for the rest of the week. I am going to drop, though, a couple of Omegas. I'm just going to finish off Sith Troopers Omegas. Hux, I think, was just the Zeta. I'm just going to do the Zeta. Yeah, I'm done with the First Order Zetas on the new characters. Now we just got to worry about those gears. The rest of these will hold. Finn is somebody I'm going to want to prioritize, and I'm going to want to get one of these I'm going to take Mandalorian, and he's going to be unlocked, and the working on him as a project is going to begin. I'm not going to do that on the video right now, but since I am at the end of the video going to, because we're technically at the end of the video, we're going to pull the packs on Mandalorian now. See if we get lucky. Alright, let's take a look at those packs. I have 24.7 thousand crystals. I can get him to 4 stars at a minimum without, I think it'll be at worst like 7,000 crystals. And from there we'll decide if we do Grief Karga too. But 4 stars is what we're going for. And hopefully a miracle happens. We'll slow play it. Alright, I need the magic to happen now. Alright, that's it. I am not spending more of my crystals on that junk. I'm tempted to do it on Karga, but we are going to call that the end of the video. Thank you for watching. This has been Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. Be safe out there. Be excellent to each other.